As Thanksgiving nears, a seasonal gift to President Eisenhower is this strutting, impressive 39-pound tom turkey, claimed to be the handsomest bird in all Nebraska, and perhaps the other 47 states as well. All the trimmings for the White House dinner come with him, a big basket of cranberries to complete the holiday platter. It's a lucky bird that graces the president's table, and he is gobbling with excitement at the prospect.
Hey, wait a minute. That's not funny at all. Thanksgiving and turkey and the White House? But where are the jokes? Sure, it was a news report from 1955 about President Eisenhower pardoning the Thanksgiving turkey. But isn't there supposed to be original, sometimes hilarious, sometimes painful, presidential humor about turkeys? Well, give thanks for this episode of C-SPAN's The Weekly, because in this podcast, we can pass the sides and the side-splitting humor, but we can't pass the opportunity. We're stuffed with presidential comedy, presidents pardoning Thanksgiving turkeys, and the jokes they told. Get ready to hear presidents talk turkey and joke turkey. Some call them humorous remarks. Others call them comedy-based jocularity. For others, they're tongue-in-cheek, or for the theme of this Thanksgiving dinner podcast, tongue-in-cheek and fork and knife. But here at The Weekly, to save time, we just call them jokes. And you'll hear lots of them. But first, some serious business. Presidential history. Thanksgiving is a national observance first proclaimed by George Washington. Abraham Lincoln had a son named Tad who kept a turkey as a pet. His name was Jack. In 1947, President Truman began the tradition of accepting a Thanksgiving turkey. And in 1989, President George H.W. Bush issued the first official presidential pardon for a turkey. All right, that's all history will do, because we all just want to get right to the jokes. And that's what we're serving. You might throw your head back and roar in laughter, or you might groan in dad joke anguish. These jokes might give you eye rolls or dinner rolls. Either way, here at C-SPAN Radio, we let you react for yourself. Now, let's trot out the turkey jokes. One joke, 1 year, each president. Starting with President George H.W. Bush in 1992.
But I want to set the guests at ease and especially tell the kids something. After all, this turkey represents America's 45 million turkeys who will begin making their irreplaceable contribution to our Thanksgiving celebration. So take it easy, turkey. We're just here to serve you.
Now, Bill Clinton, his first as president, 1993.
Were you concerned at all about this? Because this has some ridiculous aspects for the president. Were you worried about that at all?
Well, so many of my predecessors have participated in the ridiculous aspects of it. I felt right at home. You know, I actually didn't mind it. I think it's kind of funny, and it's an annual ritual. And as I said, it's a little easier for me because I've been around turkeys all my life. You know, I didn't mean it like that either. And I come from a state that grows a lot of turkeys.
President Clinton, 1994.
Unlike the 45 million American turkeys who will make the supreme sacrifice this Thanksgiving for the rest of us, this turkey will retire to Kidwell Farms, a replica of the 1930s working farm in Frying Pan Park in Northern Virginia. So I'm glad I can make at least one turkey happy this year.
President Clinton in 1995, 3 days after a government shutdown ended.
You can see one person thoroughly agrees with my decision here. This year, I guess we can say, since the government is back to work, I can at least grant to one living thing in America a permanent furlough.
In 1996, President Clinton's voice was hoarse from a long trip overseas. Talk about farm animals. A voice that was hoarse and a pardon for a turkey.
I'm going to keep at least, one turkey off of the Thanksgiving dinner table by giving a pardon to a turkey from Ohio that will now go to the petting zoo that Kidwell Farms maintains in Fairfax, Virginia. We can all be grateful, therefore, that there will be one less turkey in Washington, D.C. tomorrow.
President Clinton, 1997.
Now, this marks the 50th year when we give one more turkey in Washington a second chance.
President Clinton, 1998.
And, of course, I want to acknowledge our special guest of honor, this good-looking turkey from the land of 10,000 lakes, Minnesota. Minnesota is the second largest turkey producing state in our nation. They have even more turkeys there than lakes. And I must say, of all the years I've been here, this is the most adventurous turkey we've ever had. Just ask him your questions.
President Clinton, 1999.
I want to thank, as always, the National Turkey Federation for donating this year's Tom Turkey. It traveled here all the way from Minnesota. Minnesota may be the second biggest turkey producing state in our country. Sometimes I wonder if it's really a match for Washington, D.C.
And Bill Clinton, his last turkey pardoning as president in the midst of the Florida recount in the 2000 campaign.
It's still a bit of a mystery when exactly the first Thanksgiving was actually held. Some say it was in 1513 when Ponce de Leon landed in Florida. But the expert opinions about that are divided, and a recount is still underway down there.
Now, President George W. Bush, 2001, 2 months after the terror attacks of 9/11.
There were 2 turkeys brought to Washington for this occasion. By custom, an alternate is always on hand to fill in if needed. This one right here, his name is Liberty. And the other turkey, the alternate, his name is Freedom. Now, Freedom is not here because he's in a secure and undisclosed location.
President Bush, 2004.
I'm pleased to welcome Biscuits, the national Thanksgiving turkey. Biscuits, welcome. This is an election year, and Biscuits had to earn his spot at the White House. Over the past week, thousands of voters cast ballots on the White House website. It was a close race. You might say it was neck and neck. When all the votes were in, Biscuits and his running mate, Gravy, prevailed over the ticket of patience and fortitude. The Vice President and I are here to congratulate Biscuits for a race well run. Came down to a few battleground states. It's a tough contest, and it turned out some 527 organizations got involved, including Barnyard Animals for Truth. There was a scurrilous film that came out, Fahrenheit 375 degrees, at 10 minutes per pound. Now's the time for healing.
President Bush, 2005.
The White House is called the People's House. And we're going to call Marshmallow and Yam the People's Turkey. They made it here through a democratic process. There was a nationwide election on the White House website. In the end, the voters made the choice, and it was a close election. You might say it was neck and neck.
President Bush, 2006.
The name of the national Thanksgiving turkey has been chosen by online voting at the White House website. By the decision of the voters, this turkey is going to be called Flyer. And there's always a backup bird, just in case the guest of honor can't perform his duties. And the backup bird's name is Fryer. Probably better to be called Flyer than Fryer.
Now, 2008, George W. Bush's final Thanksgiving as president, with a callback joke from his first Thanksgiving as president.
It's an election year, so it is fitting that the names of these 2 birds were chosen through the democratic process. After a long, drawn-out election season, when the people finally spoke, the name of the ticket sent here to the White House was pumpkin and pecan. Pumpkin is right there. Pecan is in an undisclosed location.
Now Barack Obama, his first Thanksgiving turkey pardon as president, 2009.
You know, there's certain days that remind me of why I ran for this office. And then there are moments like this where I pardon a turkey and send it to Disneyland.
President Obama, 2010, after painful midterm election results for Democrats.
Before everybody heads home for Thanksgiving, there is one official duty. I am sworn to uphold as the leader of the most powerful nation on earth. Today I have the awesome responsibility of granting a presidential pardon to a pair of turkeys. Now, for the record, let me say that it feels pretty good to stop at least one shellacking this November.
President Obama, 2011.
Now, I'm told that in order to prepare liberty and peace for their big day, the students exposed them to loud noises and flash bulbs so that they'd be ready to face the White House press corps. This is actually true. They also received the most important part of their media training, which involves learning how to gobble without really saying anything.
In 2012, after winning re-election, President Obama mentioned a media figure.
I joke, but for the first time in our history, the winners of the White House turkey pardon were chosen through a highly competitive online vote. And once again, Nate Silver completely nailed it. The guy's amazing. He predicted these guys would win.
President Obama, 2013.
And then after weeks of vocal practice and prepping for the cameras, the two tributes, Caramel and Popcorn, went head-to-head together for America's vote as top gobbler. The competition was stiff, but we can officially declare that Popcorn is the winner, proving that even a turkey with a funny name can find a place in politics. As for Caramel, he's sticking around and he's already busy raising money for his next campaign.
President Obama, 2014.
I am here to announce what I'm sure will be the most talked about executive action this month. Today I'm taking an action fully within my legal authority. The same kind of action taken by Democrats and Republican presidents before me to spare the lives of two turkeys, Mac and Cheese, from a terrible and delicious fate.
In 2015, President Obama told a joke whose punchline sounded like a President Bush punchline.
If, for some reason, Abe can't fulfill his duties to walk around and gobble all day, Honest is in an undisclosed location, ready to serve as the TOTUS in the TOTUS line of succession.
Barack Obama in his final Thanksgiving as president, 2016.
Of course, Thanksgiving is a family holiday as much as a national one. So for the past 7 years, I've established another tradition, embarrassing my daughters with a cornucopia of dad jokes about turkeys. This year, they had a scheduling conflict. Actually, they just couldn't take my jokes anymore. They were fed up. Fortunately, I have by my side here today two of my nephews, Austin and Aaron Robinson, who, unlike Malia and Sasha, have not yet been turned cynical by Washington. They still believe in bad puns. They still appreciate the grandeur of this occasion. They still have hope.
Now, Donald Trump, his first Thanksgiving pardon ceremony as president in 2017.
It was 70 years ago that the National Turkey Federation first presented the National Thanksgiving Turkey to President Harry Truman, who, I might add, did not grant the pardon. He refused. He was a tough cookie. Today, I'm going to be a much nicer president.
President Trump in 2018.
Even though peas and carrots have received a presidential pardon, I have warned them that House Democrats are likely to issue them both subpoenas. Nonetheless, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I will be issuing both peas and carrots a presidential pardon. Unfortunately, I can't guarantee that your pardons won't be enjoined by the Ninth Circuit. Always happens. They're guaranteed.
President Trump in 2019.
Thankfully, bread and butter have been specially raised by the Jacksons to remain calm under any condition, which will be very important because they've already received subpoenas to appear in Adam Schiff's basement on Thursday. Hundreds of people have. It seems the Democrats are accusing me of being too soft on turkey. But bread and butter, I should note that unlike previous witnesses, you and I have actually met. It's very unusual. Very unusual. In any event, I expect this pardon will be a very popular one with the media. After all, turkeys are closely related to vultures. I don't know if I like that line, but there is a little truth to it.
And President Trump in 2020, his most recent, but maybe not his final, pardoning of Thanksgiving turkeys.
Like so many presidential flocks, this one started in the great state of Iowa in what can only be described as an act of blatant pandering. And by the way, I love the state of Iowa.
Joe Biden's first turkey pardon ceremony as president in 2021 occurred during the pandemic.
And eventually, peanut butter and jelly were selected based on their temperament, appearance, and I suspect vaccination status. No, is it? Yes, instead of getting basted, these two turkeys are getting boosted.
And finally, President Biden in 2022 after the midterm elections.
First of all, the votes are in. They've been counted and verified. There's no ballot stuffing. There's no foul play. The only red wave this season is going to be a German Shepherd commander who knocks over the cranberry sauce on our table.
And now, a bonus clip. President Ronald Reagan wasn't included in this turkey joke collection because the tradition of official pardons began with his successor. But President Reagan did enjoy a saying that included turkeys. In fact, he included that saying in the note he left in the Oval Office for George H.W. Bush when he left the White House. Here's President Bush reading that note on January 22nd, 1989.
Dear George, this is from President Reagan. You'll have moments when you want to use this particular stationery. Well, go to it. George, I treasure the memories we share and wish you all the very best. You'll be in my prayers. God bless you and Barbara. I'll miss our Thursday lunches. Ron. And the heading on the paper is "Don't let the turkeys get you down." Yep. So nobody here should take personal to this at all. I mean, this is a broad ecumenical statement. Do not let the turkeys get you down. I don't know who he's speaking about there. And it shows a bunch of turkeys trying to get an elephant down.
And that's it for this episode of C-SPAN's The Weekly. Yes, time flies, even if turkeys don't. A reminder, after your big Thanksgiving dinner, time for that grand American tradition. Loosen your belt, leave the dinner table, move to the living room, and sit in front of your huge TV set or tiny streaming device and watch C-SPAN. And of course, this year, like every year, enjoy the presidential Thanksgiving turkey pardon ceremony. As always, C-SPAN provides complete, unfiltered, unbiased, gobble-to-gobble coverage. Thanks for listening, thanks for giving, happy searching, and happy Thanksgiving.